You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS. That was new Raconteurs, Bored and Raised. And we had The Clash, Clamped Down. That was for Mick Jones. He's 64 today. Clash guitar player, in case you don't know. He's older than me. I'm 64 in September 3rd. If you want to get me any gifts, September 3rd. We're here with Jack White and Patrick Keeler from the Raconteurs.
Thanks for having us.
How you doing?
Real good, real good.
You busy?
Hanging in there. Been very busy. I've been in New York for a few days playing sort of kind of small, punkish, kind of guerrilla shows, and then we come out here to do a couple things.
You like doing that?
I really do. I like the smaller
Small
stuff the best.
stuff?
Yeah.
More intimate?
Yeah, we did, always done that. I think Patrick and I both came from sort of the Detroit garage rock scene. That's where all our early shows were like that. So it was all, 100, 200 people and really frenetic and stuff. And it's always best to try to go back to that when you can.
It was nice to sit by a bass amp and and hear it, from the source.
No,
it's so great.
I love that. I don't really know. I've never used in-ears things.
Neither. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, we don't use those, but you know what I mean? Like just being in the middle of it instead of
I like hearing the
relying on
FUD.
monitors.
I want to hear the FUD.
Yeah.
The vibrations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's in my book as a no-no wearing in-ears. I have good things that are rock and roll and bad things.
Mm.
And
that's bad.
And I don't know. Everyone seems to love it. For me, I've never tried it, so I don't know. Maybe I'll.
Right. I tried it once, and most of the Raconteurs don't have set lists either. Most of the band's projects I'm in, I don't use a set list, so it's very hard to walk over and tell somebody, "Let's play this next song next," because you got to pull your in-ears out. And say, "What'd you say?"
Yeah.
And
you got to rely.
You got to pipe the crowd into your ears because you can't hear the crowd clapping. So
we actually tried it one time, and there was like a PA delay between the ears and what was happening. It was just
it's not rock and roll.
What happened to you?
Now.
Oh, yeah, it's not very intimate.
What was I going to say? Do you still stop people filming you at shows?
No, it was like
went for a period where you stopped.
Well, no, yeah, we have it. We've been doing the rest of the band wanted to do it on this album, but this tour. But I think that wasn't as much of the filming. I didn't really care about the recording. I would think that actually is kind of cool. But what I don't like is the non-engagement, the looking down and checking the sports scores and texting and stuff. And then you can't clap.
Insulting.
You can't clap back. And if you don't have a set list, you need that. We need to engage with each other. I mean, it was just a period a few years ago where it was just feeling, God, this is starting to feel pointless, to play live. There's just no engagement and no reaction. And I really don't want to resort to pyrotechnics and lasers and stuff. It's not enough to just have the music be good enough or whatever either. It's not enough if people are not there completely in there with you. So that was the methodology behind it. But the band saw it happen with me last year playing solo. They came a couple of shows and thought, "Wow, this is so great to see people so engaged again." Yeah. And the shows we've been playing
makes the show better.
Oh, it's so much better for everybody, and everyone's really happy about it. So it's been very cool.
I think a lot of people walk around like that, regardless if they're at one of your shows or they're waiting for a bus or they're at a nightclub. They're on, it's what people do.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have any. I think it's everything people use in their daily lives is what they need to get by, and you have to make your own judgments about what makes sense in your life, especially for your kids and people around you, how you're socially with people. So. But I think when we go to the symphony, we turn our phones off. When we go to the movies, we turn our phones off. We come on the radio, we're supposed to turn our phones off. I heard a phone.
Sorry about that.
No, that's Patrick. No, I was kidding. But we just make those judgments on all these other cases. So it was just an idea. Let's try it out for rock and roll too and see what happens.
I think too, to go back to things that are not rock and roll, is to watch a concert and have a screen of somebody in front of you.
Annoying.
It's so annoying, and it's what are you getting? Really?
Nothing. No one's going to watch.
It's going to sound terrible.
It sounds like crap.
It looks like crap.
Did you see the Rob Halford thing?
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
He should have played for Wolverhampton Wanderers. That was a good kick. That was amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome. It's very cool.
But then you get sued by every Tom, Dick, and Harry if they want to be difficult. It's tough these days. It was great in the 70s. Let me tell you. There was no rules. There was no suing
We're playing where you guys played in Tulsa. We're playing at Kane's Ballroom.
Oh, yeah.
With the big altercation happened with y'all, and they have the frame, the piece of the wall there
Yeah.
framed where I guess Sid punched the wall or somebody.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite place to play. It's that has such an incredible energy. Just walking in that room has an incredible
Yeah.
energy at Kane's. So
How long is your set?
about an hour and a half or at
Perfect.
most. Yeah, not too long. I don't like to go too long.
We don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
It's a pretty intense show, you know.
Yeah. You're doing Amoeba at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you can get in if you buy the album.
Is that right?
I believe so. Which is a good idea.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
The album is close to fingers crossed, close to going #1 this week, which is wild because it's only Third Man Records, my label, putting it out. We're not partnered with a major label or
Yeah.
anything.
And
So
it's a
that's-
rock and roll record.
Yeah, so for 2019, that's an amazing triumph, even to be talking about that being a #1 record. So that's been incredible. A lot of vinyl records this last week of the album, and it's been cool. So it's cool to go like Amoeba and support what they're doing.
Yeah.
because I just love what they're doing.
You into vinyl?
Big time, yeah. And it's we just built a pressing plant a couple years ago in Detroit for our Third Man, but it's really for everyone else. It's for other artists and for all the bedroom punk labels to put out their own things. And so it's nice to be able to have that for the community and as well for ourselves.
You're a big fan of the old. Didn't you buy a lot of the tape, recording tape?
Yeah.
The
2-inch tape.
Yeah.
I think so. What we do is just trying to combine, the best of the new and the old. If there's something cool like the editing, editing on Pro Tools, which I think that's what's brilliant about Pro Tools, is to be able to edit. We'll say we record this album on tape, then we bounce it to Pro Tools so we can edit it. So the vibe is there of a band playing in the room to begin with on every song. Every song starts with the four of us playing together in a room, and that's something you just kind of can't manufacture.
So you're pretty much saying then, old school. I don't sound like an old fart, but like my favorite music was in the 70s. That was my favorite era. Before the 80s with the big drum and in the 70s that dry kind of. I don't know. The songs were great. I don't know what it is. So you think that's a lost art, even like new bands recording now, or not?
I think they just haven't had some of the new ways of doing things don't incorporate. It's not about being old-fashioned or being retro. It's about if you're artists that are playing together. You say we're in a band.
Yeah.
If you're only doing overdubs as a band, like you put your guitar part down, I do mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might come up with something interesting. It might become with an amazing song. But for some reason, I think maybe the three of us are all where we have come from is you have to be in a room together playing first live, and you have to experience what it's like to produce a sound together.
Yeah.
And then you can go on and do whatever the hell you want afterwards, as long as you know what the core soul of it is. That's what I think people kind of got wrong about me talking about it over the years. Is I think people think that I hate that people record on Pro Tools, or I hate that they record on computer or digital equipment. That's absolutely not the case. Most of my pedals I have are digital, and we're editing on Pro Tools, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just about being able to know where you're coming from, why you're doing what you're doing as a band, and it's hard to just skip over that part of the sweating in a room together.
Yeah.
Well, I think even like our song "Born and Raised," that's us getting together and just jamming in the room. I mean, that was just a live thing. We just riffed.
Well, it's good. It's great that you're playing rock and roll.
Thanks, man.
It's slim these days.
It is. It's wild, but it's I think you've
Come back.
It goes in those
Cycles.
cycles, and the last. I would think that it's always it's sort of like guitars are synthesizers, and people have called it rock and roll is dead 27 times over the decades, so it's nothing new. And maybe one day it will completely go away, but I think at this moment in time that we've been playing shows in London and Paris and Tokyo and America and everywhere this whole year has just felt so exciting and electric. People moshing and crowd surfing, and it's all tons of teenagers at the shows, so it's a whole new crop of people who want that live experience. I think real,
like even
rock
more
and roll.
amped up than I had noticed in the past. Like really going for it, and maybe some of that's what we were talking about earlier too, being engaged in the show and just like getting into it. But it's been really, really, really great.
So you don't invite any influencers to your shows then? Instagram.
We should maybe. I
Yeah,
don't
maybe
know.
that would have helped.
To hell with them.
Help us.
I think there's like I've been thinking about that lately, like what kids look up to when you have children. I don't know if you have children, but the when you have them, you start thinking about who idols are at any given point in time. When they're 3, when they're 7, who their idols are,
Yeah.
and people of their generation who their idols are. And one thing you kind of see missing in the last decade seems to be like slowly disappearing is the expert. The person who's been to 2,000 live shows who knows what they're talking about.
master.
It's usually now like some hipster blog or some 22-year-old who started going to shows in 2014.
Yeah.
He's the one who's telling you about this band.
Yeah.
Not someone who's been to 3,000 shows or owns 10,000 records or has been doing this for 30 years. So you have that, and I'm not saying those people don't have a valid opinion. They do. They're a human being. They have a valid opinion. But I think that there should be some resurgence of people who really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those influencers are, what the hell do they do? I don't know what they do. What do they
They
know what they're
stand
talking
there.
about? So I mean,
They stand there.
got to be an expert at something first before you should influence somebody, I would think, or good at something first. Correct? I mean,
I'm an influenza.
That's great.
can we steal that? Can we steal that?
Sure. You heard it first. Jonesy Jukebox.
Influenza.
I got to ask you because it's I'm a huge soccer fan, football fan, and Seven Nations Army.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean they do it even if the song ain't being played.
Oh yeah.
In the back, they just start whoa. It's crazy.
It's gone across to American baseball, basketball, hockey. It's just everywhere around the world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Never would have thought that was going to be the case with that song. So it's just an amazing honor. It's the best thing you can hope for as a songwriter, that something will sort of accidentally become folk music.
Yeah.
And that especially makes me even more proud because they're not singing lyrics; they're chanting a melody.
It's just the instrumental part.
And that's just, how is it possible you could organize a few notes to inspire that?
Yeah.
And those people, they don't know where it's coming from, and I'm glad
Right.
that they don't. I don't want them to know where
Right.
the song came from.
Right.
I want it to. When you write a song, you hope that it will one day exist on its own and become its own, have its own life and all that. So that's amazing.
Do you remember when you come up with that riff?
Yeah, it was in, which rarely I do, but I do remember that one specifically. It was at the Corner Hotel in Melbourne, Australia. It was at sound check, and I had dipped my guitar down an octave. So it was a low octave, so it sounded sort of like a bass, and that's when I had that. And I remember I saw recently, we were going through some old notes, and it was the stuff from the album that was on. It's called Elephant, and there was some notes about the songs on that record, and the song said, it just had the word Bond on it with a circle, because I thought it sounded like a James Bond theme.
Yeah.
And I thought, they'll never let me do a James Bond theme, so I should just we'll put it on the record, White Stripes.
Yeah.
And then they let me do a James Bond theme a few years later. So
I think that did better than the James Bond.
Oh, it did, yeah, slightly better. Yeah.
Do you get paid every time they play at a sports place in
It's always
public?
weird conversations with publishing and lawyers and stuff like that about those kind of things. And there's supposedly this law that any public performance must be paid. And I think there's some rule about, like, if they play it at the stadium over the speakers, like the team plays it, then they pay a fee. But if the crowd sings it, there's obviously that
you
would
can't
not
do
be,
nothing about
It's like
that.
happy
that.
birthday at that point. You can't really.
But
Yeah.
then there's also these blanket rules where stadiums do some kind of buyout to all the majors. Like, we can play whatever we want for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We'll give you this lump sum. Some craziness like that I don't understand. And then, but I remember the funniest thing about that is we used to play at this bar in Detroit called the Gold Dollar, only held 100 people. And they had a little CD player in there. And there was a guy, this is like 99 or something like that. He came around from BMI. He goes, well, where's your jukebox? And they said, we don't have one. We just have a CD player. We just play CDs. Well, let me see your pile of CDs. Why? Well, I need to know what you've been playing in the bar so you can pay royalties on it. And we're like, wow, that's so interesting. Because I own a couple of jukeboxes, and if you open them up, you'll see there's counters in there for the songs. And that was what the publishers would go to bar and say, oh, you've played this James Brown song 55 times this month. You owe us, however many pennies for that. That's pretty interesting that those guys would go like door-to-door salesmen to every bar and collect money. Yeah, crazy.
That is a lot.
But those
of work.
were considered public performances of songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
even though you're paying for it to play it,
Right.
you know.
they want that part of that. They want part of that dime. They gotta get
Everyone
the
wants a
nickel.
part of it.
That's why you're paying for it.
Exactly, to pay for them. Yeah.
So that's cool, man. So Amoeba, and then you got a show. Where's my info? At the Greek,
Yeah.
July 26th.
Which is always great because a lot of people over the years have said I saw you at the
I
Greek
love the
in such
Greek.
and such band, and I think it's really great. The only thing I don't like about the California outdoor venues, Hollywood Bowl and the Greek, is they
Here
have
it comes.
decibel limits. They don't have decibel limits, so it's just like 97 decibels. I mean, we're talking right now at about 82 decibels.
Right.
You knew it was coming?
Yeah.
He doesn't. He does, but I went out and saw.
I
think
agree with that.
the Yeah Yeahs warmed up for the White Stripes at the Greek, and I went out and watched their sound check, and I'm like, oh wait, the PA is turned on right now. I thought it was just their amps I was listening to,
Yeah.
and that was the PA.
Everything, yeah.
It was everything. I was like, wow, this is like someone playing a boombox on the stage almost. It's,
Can't you grease someone's palm?
You can try to push it, but they have a monitor, a decibel
Do they have a guy
recording
in there?
device, and sometimes there's a guy standing there making sure you don't go over.
The idea is to mix up the set too between loud and soft because they'll do an average.
Yeah, I do an average. That's correct.
So there's a lot of talking on those kind of shows.
I saw Roxy Music years ago there, and I never thought they was quiet.
That's good. Yeah.
And I've seen a few bands there. We played there, Sex Pistols in 2003. I don't
On
know.
stage, it feels fine. You don't notice
Right,
it. But
right.
when I was out in the crowd watching a little bit, I thought, ooh, this could be at least 10 dB louder. I just don't know why even have a live venue if you're not going to allowed to play loud. That's part of rock and roll.
It's because of all the houses, I think,
Yeah.
around that area.
Well, then they should obliterate and burn all those houses down because
Get rid of 'em.
What's more important?
Rock and roll or houses?
Buy 'em out.
Should we play some music? Let's play another one. Shine the Light on Me. This is new Raconteurs from their new album. Help Us Straight. Am I saying wrong?
Actually, we have Some Days queued up.
That's what I said. Some days. You don't listen. Open your bleeding ears. We're here with the Raconteurs, Jack White and Patrick Keeler. Take it away. Did I say it wrong? Callum. Jonesy's Jukebox. KLOS. Pardon. Jack White and Patrick Keeler.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should change your name to Patrick Tequila.
Tequila. I like
You know,
this.
Tequila!
Think about it for a second. Don't
don't
rush
twist
to
my arm, you'll
judgment.
spill my drink.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you remember anything about that gig at Kane's Ballroom? Do you remember anything that I don't? Any anecdote that? I have a photograph. I bought a photograph someone took just with their camera at that show.
That's Tulsa, right?
Yes.
That's the
Tulsa.
Bible Belt. I
Yeah.
remember them picketing outside,
Mm-hmm.
the Jesus people.
Yeah.
They were upset that we were playing there
Yeah.
because all the press was, didn't even know half the press that was coming out there, but it was this whole machine out like we're going to eat kids' heads off and stuff.
Yeah.
And really, we're just a rock and roll band, But it created all these kind of cowboys and whatnot who came to the show,
Yeah, yeah.
not to listen,
To kind of yeah.
to cause
Cause trouble. Yeah.
Pitchforks.
And it did. It flamed, so every bleeding show, there'd be a ton of cans after it. There'd be fighting. It was just.
That was a smart idea to go where you weren't
It was
wanted
great.
first instead of going to L.A., New York. That was too easy to go to L.A., New York.
Yes,
So,
I totally agree.
very smart.
It's smart if you're the manager. It's not if you're playing on the stage. But that was about it. All of it is not very vivid at all.
Can't be
I
blamed
remember
for that.
the last show in
San Francisco.
yeah,
Oh.
and I went to town on about 6 chicks that night.
Those are what you called females back then?
Ladies, birds.
But
Yeah, I'm not proud of it.
and we'll cut to commercial.
Exactly. And that was it.
Hey, that last track you played, Some
Yes,
Days.
Some days, yeah.
Was that was cut? Because that sounded like it was live.
It was me actually learning to use a new instrument. You know those B-bender guitars. They're like
It's like a country. It's got like a mechanism. It's usually in a Telecaster, and it's like you can.
Makes it sound like a pedal steel guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
when you
bends
push-
the
when you
bends the
push
beat.
the-
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, the strap lock has a mechanism that bends only the B string in it. So it's sort of like learning how to play a new instrument. So I was trying to do that guitar solo in my parts with this new instrument I bought. It was really inspiring to me. So that was cool.
You like it then?
I do. I have it on. I have it on stage now with me. So
Sounds too complicated for me.
it was tricky to figure out. Still learning it.
This guy.
It's pretty good.
This guy.
Guy.
But you never. This song was something you came up with and then just recorded it. You didn't play it live. A lot of these songs on this album.
Most of these had we hadn't played live in years, so all of these songs were songs that we had only recorded, written, and played to each other. Me and Brendan write the songs in the band, so he some days was something he generated on his own. So that was a cool one. We got to finally record in the studio I built like 10 years ago, which the band never had gotten to record in there. So because I built it right after our last album, and then Third Man Records kind of took off and put a bunch of stuff on my table. So that's what took so long for us to get back to in the studio together. So.
And you're gonna tour?
Yeah, big time. We've been we did like the Pacific, rim, as they say, whatever, Japan, New Zealand, Australia already, and some small shows in Europe, and now we're getting ready to kick it off in Detroit in a couple of weeks at the Masonic Temple.
About 40 plus dates coming up.
It's going to be
quickly.
a full
In the
country.
States?
Yeah.
Full North American
40
tour.
shows in the States.
Yeah,
Are you bussing it or you're flying it?
bussing.
I love
Uber.
the bus, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Uber.
Uber bus.
That's gonna
Uber
be-
tour bus.
Yeah.
Uber tour
When's
bus.
when's that coming? That's coming. That'll be great.
I love the bus, man. You just
I love the
throw
bus.
your crap on there.
Yeah.
I sleep like a child too.
Yeah.
I like the hum. I like the
If you're a
gas
musician,
fumes.
if you can sleep on a bus like that comfortably, you got it made. But I always feel bad for musicians who can't sleep on a bus when it's too jarring for them. I feel like, damn, that's a torturous event.
Yeah, that's what
The older I get, the earlier I wake up until I'm on a tour bus, and then it'll be like 2 in the afternoon. I'm
Yeah.
like, what day is it?
Yeah, I'm with you on the old bunk bed.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
Do you like upstairs or downstairs?
What are you referring to?
Do you like men?
What are you referring to?
Yeah.
Again,
Go
It's
ahead
code
and
for-
just,
chicks,
Birds.
bites.
I like the left side of the bus.
You do?
I do.
That's the if left side if you're
Passenger
getting
side.
onto the bus.
Passenger side.
Passenger side.
Yeah.
You know what? So do I, and I like it at the bottom.
I like
Yeah.
I like the
Easier to
lower
get out of the
one.
bottom.
Yeah.
You just roll out.
Yeah, I don't like to jump on the top ones.
It can sway when you're on the top.
Yep.
a bit.
I've seen people
Yeah.
fall out of them.
Lower
in their
center of
sleep, too.
gravity
They
on the bottom.
Fall out of
Yeah.
the top bunk. I've seen
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah. So, Amoeba today at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Buy them records.
What you doing? Like a full electric set?
Yeah, full electric set. I mean, I don't know, probably not full long, probably like, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes maybe
Yeah.
or something like that. And then, but it's just we want to support them. They've done such a killer job keeping vinyl alive over and having a giant store there. In the absence of Tower Records and everything, too. It's just cool to be able to play there.
What'd you think about KLOS? It's the 50th year.
Is it really? Wow, that's
Anniversary.
incredible.
One of my
Incredible.
favorite logos of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Good
love
one.
that.
the
Iconic.
rainbow.
I like that
Rainbow.
logo.
Did you ever listen? You say you're from here?
I'm not from here. I moved here full time in 2013.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ah, KRP.
Yes.
WKRP.
KRP.
It's true.
And you're originally from
Detroit.
Detroit.
Mhm.
And you have a lot of brothers and sisters, right?
I do. 9 brothers and sisters, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were the youngest.
Yeah, I'm the 10th, 7th son. My mom's the 10th child in her family. She was the 7th daughter. So they flip-flopped.
The seventh son.
Yes.
So is that weird being like last?
It had its advantages and disadvantages, I guess.
You was the cute
I was
little
also
kid.
7 years younger than the 9th kid, so I'm way at the end, tacked on at the end of this family. So everyone's very much older than I am growing up, especially my parents. My parents were everyone else's grandparents aged all my friends, So it was very cool, though. I got a lot of influence from, like a big band era drummers from my parents all the way
Yeah.
to the 60s rock and roll country music from my brothers. And so you had all this there's a lot of influence going on just in the home alone, like the books and the movies we were all into. So.
It was all about that when you was a kid.
Yeah,
music and films.
Oh
and
yeah, I loved music
TV.
to death. I wanted to be a drummer. That's it. I just wanted to be a drummer. So all I cared about was playing the drums, trying to record the drums, trying to get my brothers to let me play with them, playing the drums, all of that. So I was obsessed.
Who was your favorite drummer back then?
Growing up, all
John
my
Bonham?
favorites were Gene Krupa, John Bonham, Stuart Copeland, Ian Pace, Carl Palmer. I liked a lot of complicated and swing drummers, really, like the Gene Krupas and Buddy Rich's, with the swing factor.
Yeah,
That really meant more to me than the complicated stuff. But the complicated stuff was impressive to me at the time because I wanted to learn more things.
More feel
Yeah.
in the swing.
I thought so, yeah, because that was about the time I think other people were getting into double kick drum, heavy metal drummers and stuff, and I was sort of like,
It got too metronome-y.
too much, yeah. When
Not
you
enough feel.
lost the swing a little bit,
Yeah.
so I was into that a bit.
And who's your favorite drummer in this room?
God, man,
Me,
it's
I
so
heard
funny.
me.
I think it's gonna have to be Jonesy, yeah.
Sitting to the right side of you.
Mr.
Patrick is the
Tequila!
man. Yeah, Tequila on the drums. He's so great. I've been really lucky over the years to play with incredible drummers like him and Carla Azar, and it's just been very, very. I've been very lucky with that.
Yeah.
Meg White, just incredible. Everyone has a different style, and it's just always been inspiring to me. I play to the drummer. I don't know if you do, but I always play to the drummer in the studio and live.
So important.
Yeah.
Do you ever I don't know if you ever stumble across a drummer who's not good. It can. I can't play with them. I have to. It ruins everything.
It's a deal breaker for me. If it's got to be, if I'm not locked in with the drummer and everything else is kind of useless at that point. Yeah.
Does Mr. Tequila always show up?
So great. It's got the swing. He could tell he grew up with the jazz swing.
I got one speed. Balls out.
All right, rock and roll. Okay, well, thanks for coming by, Jack and Patrick.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
It's a great honor
Thanks,
to talk
sir.
to you.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to play another track, yes? Yeah. Shine the Light? Oh, good, I got it right.